Good morning, everybody. Last night I hit my goal of 10,000 YouTube subscribers, and I wanted to talk a little bit about it and the experiences and everything. And kind of talk about my journey because, as many of you know, I have 219,000 followers on TikTok, but Instagram, way less, YouTube, way less. And it's funny because I've started this whole journey as a content creator about 5 years ago on YouTube. And YouTube has been the hardest platform for me to grow on, get consistent views, get followers or subscribers or whatever. And I hope, in a way, I hope that this video kind of motivates you. And I just wanted to talk a little bit briefly about my experience and my past here on YouTube and just talk about the whole overall journey. And I will try to keep it as brief as possible. So around 5 years ago, maybe a little bit longer, a friend calls me up out of the blue and he goes, "Hey, you're a stock trader, right?" So yeah. He goes, "I want to learn to do what you do." And I was like, okay. And so I pull up charts and I'm talking about Bollinger Bands, relative strength, volume, blah, blah. I'm talking about all these things. And he's sitting there and he's going, what? No, 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 no. And after a little chat, we figure out that he doesn't want to be a trader. He just wants some investments. And it dawned on me. I was like, damn, you know, he didn't know the difference between trading and investing. Interesting. When you're in this and you're in the weeds and this is what you do for a living, you kind of think everyone knows what you know, which is obviously not true. A couple weeks go by and another phone call, another friend, and he goes, "Hey, you're a stock trader, right? I want to learn how to trade." And I'm like, "Do you really want to learn how to trade or do you want to invest?" And I explain the differences. And he goes, "Oh, I want to invest." So I'm like, "Yeah, okay." So we talk on the phone and I noticed that the second friend's questions identical, mirrored the first friend's conversation and questions. So we hang up and I'm thinking like, this is weird. Where's this all of a sudden coming from? I mean, I've been trading stocks currently for the last 13 years, but 5 years ago, I don't know, 8 years. And I'm like, where is this coming from? All of a sudden, everyone's showing interest in the stock market. I don't get it. A third friend calls. "Hey, I want to trade stocks." I'm like, "You sure you want to trade stocks or do you really want to invest?" And I start to explain the difference. And he goes, "No, no, no. I already have a portfolio of investments. I want to trade." And I'm like, gotcha. Talk about the charts, all that stuff. A month or two later, a fourth friend calls. We go over everything, same questions as the others. And I hang up the phone call and I'm like, this is so weird to me. And it dawns on me that the then president, Donald Trump, was on TV every day, blah, 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 stock market, stock market, stock market. Now, whether you like Trump or you hate him is irrelevant. What mattered was that he was talking about the stock market all the time. And people were listening. And so they were like, stock market, this guy keeps saying it's going up and up and up. Should I be investing? Should I be getting into the stock market? And I think that's where a lot of this interest came from, was simply because the guy was talking about it all the time. And we know now that the stock market is something where a lot of people just don't have any real information or knowledge. So my idea was, well, if all these friends are calling up out of the clear blue, I'm gonna film a YouTube video. Now, back then, 5 years ago, I was terrible on camera. If we were at like a wedding or a bar mitzvah or something like that, and someone put a camera up in my face and said like, "Say something to the birthday girl," I'd be like, like I couldn't speak. I didn't know what to say. If it was a bar mitzvah, I was wishing them a happy birthday. If it was a wedding, I was saying mazel tov. Like I didn't know what I was doing on camera. I was so awkward. But it was for my friends, so I didn't really care if I was good or bad. And now there's a tripod, there's a microphone, I have studio lights, even though they're not on. I can edit videos. I didn't know how to do any of that. I just thought, I'm gonna get a stack of books, I'm gonna put my phone against it, and I'm gonna film a little video talking about the market and investing. And I'll use iMovie and I'll take some screenshots and I'll put them on the screen and I'll show people how to do the basics. And I started a YouTube channel. And I figured I'd set the video to private. It would be just for my friends. Anytime they called me, I would save some time and I'd say, "Here, just watch the video." That was the origin of my YouTube. It wasn't, I'm gonna become an influencer. I wasn't doing this out of like ego or some superficial need to have like a lot of followers or anything like that, or make money. It was just, I want to help some of my friends. Once the video was on YouTube, the phone calls stopped coming. It was like those four friends and that was it. Nobody else called. And I was like, well, I've got this video on here. And I didn't know back then, maybe gatekeeping wasn't like an actual term. But in a roundabout way, I was kind of gatekeeping. I was kind of like, I have this video. There's a lot of good information in this video. and nobody can see it. And partially nobody can see it because I was embarrassed. It wasn't a good video. I mean, the knowledge was there, but the production quality. So, um, you know, I decided to refilm the videos and set them to public. And I was like, well, now that they're public, I need a way to promote this. So I got an Instagram account. Now, if you know anything about me, you know that over the years, I've had a lot of different side hustles and hobbies. They weren't side hustles to generate income. They were just creative outlets for me, something fun to do, because trading stocks could be monotonous, looking at a screen all day. My first one was that I wrote books. I wrote 2 books, Restaurant Expose and kind of horror thriller novel. And there's links in the description below if you're curious. The second hobby that I had was I started writing for an online magazine called Primer Magazine, or maybe it's Primer, I don't know. I'll send this video to Andy, he runs the magazine, and he can tell me how to pronounce it, but it's either Primer Magazine or primermagazine.com. My mom, so when I said I got this job at Primer, my mom was like, it's called a primer, a guide, and I was like, I've never heard, that's like a made up word, but it's not. I wrote for Primer for a while, or Primer, and then I decided that I was going to start my own online magazine on minimalism, because I'm a minimalist. So I did that for a year or two, and it flopped. And then I started a t-shirt company with like logos and stuff like that, and that flopped. But I learned important things from all of those. And going back even earlier, I didn't go to college. I wanted to be a professional wrestler. And my mom was so supportive of that. My mom was like, do it. You're young. Go do it now. Which was the opposite of what all my other friends' experiences were. My friends' parents were like, you go to college, you pick your major, blah, blah, blah. And they were like, I'm 18, I don't know what I want to do. And their parents were like, you'll learn in college. My mom was like, go do the dangerous, terrifying wrestling thing. And I broke my back and I came home. But all of these different things kind of were setting up the stage for social media. And I just didn't know it at the time. You know, wrestling taught me how to speak, you know, cutting a promo. Writing taught me how to get all of my for Primer, taught me how to get all of my thoughts lined up and have a cohesive, you know, piece of writing that could convert to a message, a video. The online magazine for minimalism taught me how to write succinctly and then as a result speak quickly, like bullet points, like Popular on TikTok style. Even writing those 2 books taught me how to send out press releases, which now I use some of that same knowledge to reach out to brands and say like, hey, would you like to partner? Because that's where my money comes from these days. So all this stuff, even the t-shirt business, the t-shirt business flopped because there was nobody in front of the camera saying, look at my fun t-shirt. I would just take photos and put them on the internet. That was all missing. And all those little things over the many years turned out that TikTok was the perfect place for that. I just wasn't on TikTok yet. I was on YouTube, I was on Instagram, and I really got fired up about the whole social media thing when I saw all these people popping up saying, buy my stock trading course. And people would DM me and say like, hey, it's $1,000, should I buy his course? He's a stock trader, he has a Lamborghini, he lives the life I want. I was like, he has the Lamborghini because he's selling courses, don't fall for it, I'll teach you. That's when I really got fired up. But a whole year into my YouTube journey and everything was in the toilet. The views were down, the Instagram posts were down, nobody was engaging, nobody was commenting, nobody was questioning me, anything. There was no back and forth. And I was like, you know, my whole idea was to help people and I'm not helping anybody. So maybe this was one of those side hustle creative outlets that, you know, I did for a year and it didn't work and no big deal, I'll move on to the next thing. And I went to the gym and a friend at the gym was like, you need to be on TikTok. Gary Vee says all the big creators are moving to TikTok. You need to be on TikTok. And I looked at him and I was like, who in the blue hell is Gary Vee? I was like early 30s. I was like, TikTok is for kids. I'm an adult. That would be weird. He was like, no, Gary Vee says it's changing. You need to be on TikTok. So I opened a TikTok account and like, you know, the rest is history. Boom, rocket ship, 200,000 followers in a 4-year period. Insane growth for me on TikTok. But YouTube was always that one that I wanted the larger audience on. And I think it's because TikTok is great and there is a small sense of community on there with my followers, but the overwhelming majority of the people just want the information, they want it quickly, and they want to move on. They're not trying to have a community, which my friend Iris, who we'll talk about in a second, said like, that's what's on YouTube. If you want that, You need to be on YouTube. It was just like, I felt like the eyeballs went to the big creators on YouTube. The eyeballs went to them. They didn't go to the little guys like me. I could never get views. I could never grow. And Iris, who many of you also follow on TikTok, was telling me, move to YouTube, move to YouTube. So about 2 months ago, early November, I went to Iris and I said, hey, I'm sitting at 9,800 subscribers on YouTube. Do you think by the end of the year, so giving myself like a little less than 2 months, do you think I can get to 10,000 subscribers on YouTube? And without missing a beat, those 3 little dots on the screen popped up and Iris was like, yes, do it. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna do it. And you know, manifestation is really popular, or positive thinking, or wishful thinking, or fantasizing, or dreaming. All those things are great, but you need action. You need action behind it to push you forward. And I was like, I want it, but you can't just sit there and say I want it. Something then has to happen. And Iris was like, every moment of your free time, YouTube. If you want to film a TikTok video, film it later. YouTube. If you want to go to the gym, go later. YouTube. If you're hungry and you want to eat something, first YouTube, then you eat. Like, she was just like psyching me up and firing me up. Like, YouTube is your new focus until you hit your goal. And I'm a realist. So I set a realistic goal. I didn't say, well, I'm at 9,800, I want to be at 1 million in 2 months. I said I want something realistic. But even still, I thought 200 more followers or subscribers was out of reach just by a little. Like, I figured I would get like 80 new subscribers, because I was doing like 10 per month. Like, YouTube is really hard. And thinking like I'm gonna go from 10 per month to 200 in like a month and a half, possible, but difficult. So I buckled down, and early November, I started posting with the idea of posting a couple of videos per day, one long form every day. I think I ended up posting 35 videos from early November until December 8th, which was yesterday. 35 long form videos, and that's hard. TikTok is hard because you have to, you know, people think it's so easy, just turn on the camera, but you have to first have the knowledge. Second, you have to be able to consolidate that knowledge into like, you know, little snippets. I mean, TikTok allows 10-minute videos now, but really the majority of people want short, fast, get me in, get me out, teach me something and shut up, move on. And so TikTok is also hard. But YouTube is really hard because you have to not only talk for 10 or 15 minutes, but then you have to edit the video and you have to post the video, you have to market the video. So I decided I'm gonna listen to Iris. I went crazy. I was like driven to do this. And I'm not competitive, but I guess in this instance, I was competitive with myself. I was like, I'm gonna do this, I have to do this. And I want you to know out there that if there's something you're passionate about, good things take time. 5 years. 5 years. People always say like, oh, that guy, he popped up out of nowhere. Most of these stories, these people didn't pop up out of nowhere. Most of these stories, these people have been working in the background for years and years. They make it to the top, whatever that top is for them. And a lot of people go like, oh, he's on Easy Street. Dude, you're just getting started. And you know, a great analogy is Stone Cold Steve Austin, who wrestled for 8 years in WCW, a stunning Steve Austin, the Hollywood Blondes, working on the indies, you know, traveling all over the world, wrestling, gets to WWF in the 1990s, is given this terrible ringmaster gimmick, hates it, says, let me do my own thing. Stone Cold is born. He's on top of the industry for like 4 years, and then he retires. And they're like, wow, Stone Cold, he came up out of nowhere. No, he was in the back. It was 8 years of him working. He gets to where he wants to be, top of the mountain. Now you got to stay on the top of the mountain. So, you know, this whole thing is like, for 5 years I've been working on YouTube trying to grow this channel. Finally, Iris lights this fire under my ass and I'm like, let's go, let's do this. 35 videos in like under a month. And they're all doing their typical YouTube thing. 1 or 2 followers, 3 or 4 followers. But it's the consistency that is making it snowball. It's not like 1 or 2, I'm posting 2 or 3 videos a month and I'm getting 4 or 5, maybe 10 followers. I'm doing a video every day, 3 or 4 followers, 3 or 4 followers. It's compounding, just like dividends. It's compounding. Just like going to the gym and lifting weights. You have to stick with it. There has to be, you can't just go to the gym and be like, I want to be jacked. You know, you have to put the time in. All that to say, Yesterday, December 8th, I hit my goal. 23 days early. Before the end of the year, I hit 10,000. I just hope that this video motivates you and reminds you that if you're passionate about something, to please stick with it. Good things happen, they just take time. And I have seen countless creators on social media come on with good knowledge, but they lose interest really fast because it doesn't happen immediately for them. They join, they post a couple videos, they're DMing me, hey, what's going on? Hey, what's going on? I'm like, hey man, you just joined. I've been doing this for 5 years. If you want 200,000 followers, I've been on TikTok for 4 years, YouTube and Instagram for 5. You have to stick with it. And they're like, oh, 5 years? By the time I get there, I'm gonna be tired. That's how it goes for some people. For me, 5 years in, I feel like we're just getting started. So thank you. I know 10,000 on YouTube isn't like this humongous achievement. It's not 100,000, it's not 1,000,000, but for me it's significant because this is where I started. I never thought it would grow. TikTok is what did very well for me. YouTube was just kind of in the background until Iris really fired me up. So Iris, I know you're watching this. Thank you. I'll tag her below so you can all follow her and stick with it because things take time. But it's worth it in the end, especially if you're motivated by something that really makes you passionate. All right, bye everybody.